What was it like growing up with two teachers in the household?
Growing up with two teachers, there was a lot of discipline for sure. I know that, as I reflected back on my childhood, there's a lot of structure. There was a lot of accountability and responsibility, and I think that was all part of being not only just being teachers, but my parents just raising as Black in America. By the time I was going through the elementary school system, my parents had made wise financial decisions. And so I was able to go to school in blue ribbon schools in suburbs of Kansas City, Missouri, and Blue Springs, Missouri. And being the last of seven, I'd seen and heard a lot of stories of what my family had been through. My parents were married at 18 years old in Kansas City, Missouri. They moved to California, and because my father heard that he could get his education paid for if he became a resident in the state of California, so he could go to the state school system. So that was their dream. They got married, they started their family. The first four kids of the seven were born in California, and then the last three of us were born in Kansas City.
Growing up with that kind of a foundation that your parents set, with the accountability and all the other things that really helped. How important was it to have that foundation for your football career and just life in general?
It was incredibly important because the when I was younger, I devoured the Sports Illustrateds, and I knew I wanted to be a professional athlete. I got sent to the principal's office in kindergarten because I wouldn't pick a different profession. All the other kids were picking fireman, doctor, lawyer, teacher. I was like, I'm going to be a professional athlete. My kindergarten teacher said, that's unrealistic. If you pick it again, you're going to the principal's office. I picked it again. So, sitting in that principal's office, Mr. Barnhart, what he said to me was, you can be a professional athlete and you will. He proceeded to tell me the story about keeping my nose clean and getting good grades and staying out of trouble. And, so a lot of where my foundation came from individuals outside of my family unit. And I think that's what's the importance of teachers and the importance of coaches and positive role models outside of the family unit, because it gets to a certain age. You remember when you got to that age where you didn't want to hear anything from your parents anymore, probably 12, 13, 14 years old. My parents are saying the exact same thing the coach is saying, but it don't resonate. I want to hear it from the coach, right? And so once I was devouring these stories of professional athletes, I knew that was the path I want to go on. But I'm looking at my parents and I'm like, they can't teach me how to be a professional athlete. So I needed to find those positive influences outside of the family, but I still need to carry those foundational values that I learned in the household. And so that was always the balance, keeping one hand on my foundation, how I was raised, my ethics, my values, and then kind of wading through the waters of being a Division I college athlete, being a professional athlete, and trying to have a good time while I'm doing it. So those values are very important.
How did you get introduced to football? Like when did that begin? Was it natural? Was it just like, oh, that looks cool?
Yeah, pretty much that looks cool. And my dad made me do it. I was a very rambunctious elementary school kid. I was in trouble. I was in the principal's office a lot. And so my dad gave me an ultimatum. My dad's a Golden Glove boxer. And so he's like, all right, you got one or two options. You're either going to be a boxer, you're going to play football, but you got to get this energy out some way.
That's a good ultimatum, man.
So, his knuckles are all calloused over. I'm like, man, I think I'm going to play football. So he put me in the Little League Pop Warner football league, flag football league. And that's how I started.
Once you got involved in football, the wheels start turning. You start kind of understanding the game, more and more as you got older. What was the one part of it that you really loved and that really just dialed you in?
I was gravitated towards the entertainment aspect of it. I I I caught my first kickoff in flag football, scored a touchdown. I caught the first punt the next series, scored a touchdown. And so I was sitting on the sideline, I was looking at all the reactions, and just like during the time period, it's like, this is Missouri. So it's like the cowbells are ringing on the side. And the parents are cheering. And then just the attention afterwards, I was like, man, I really like this. And so it's just the entertainment aspect of it. And as I started studying the athletes, I gravitated towards Deion Sanders. And that was the way that I needed to market myself and separate myself as an athlete from the other players. So many other players, so much talent. How am I going to separate myself? And I did that with I followed the Deion Sanders model, where I was in choir, so I had a music component to myself. I played multiple sports, just like Deion Sanders. I said, all right, I'm gonna play multiple sports. I played basketball, track, and I played baseball up until my freshman year and high school. And then that's when I pivoted into track, and I played basketball and football. So I was a multi-sport athlete. And then I was really attracted to those entertainment aspects, and that's how I built myself as an athlete.
I'm just curious, you brought up choir and being involved in other activities outside of football. From your perspective, how important is it to have range and not to be just so singularly focused, but to have range and to gain perspective and values from other parts of life?
Look, I was naturally drawn to it. I was just naturally inquisitive individual, and I needed to be busy. If I'm not busy, I'll become destructive. I'm like a little chihuahua. You leave a chihuahua alone, the corners of your house are going to get chewed up. Keep it entertained. So I have to keep myself entertained, or I will chew the corners of the house. I'll ruin it. So that's just something that I knew about myself from a young age, and my parents encouraged that in me. And as far as playing multiple sports, I thought it was beneficial just for athleticism. I was wickedly athletic as a kid, just freakishly athletic, and so I just needed to um, put that out there and display that, just for my own ego, for the most part. But I just love the competition aspect of it. I love training. I love exercise, and so I just love to be in multiple sports, and I think that's healthy for those who are looking for alternative ways to train for the main sport. It's like active rest, where even when I was in the National Football League, in the off seasons, I would play tennis to make sure that I keep my cardio up, and I'm chasing a ball, and I'm being coached by the head pro at the country club. So it was like I'm getting all those aspects that are important to me as a football player, but I'm not playing football because I need a break from that. And tennis was something that I leaned into to keep me active.